So, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good. I just did like
Work?
studying, work, and stuff like
Where do you work?
that. Well, like sometimes I go and I'll like help out with my cousins, like my aunt and stuff, and do a little. It's just like sorting stuff, like papers that she may
Mhm.
have. But like on campus, I work in the communication studies department. I do that on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. And I work from like 1 or 2 ish to 5.
Just like whatever they need in the office.
Like shredding, or it's mainly answering the phone and just being at the front desk and telling people, "Okay, you can go see so and so now." Yeah.
Weird. Great. Well, glad you're making some money.
Yeah, but it's just like it takes a whole lot of time out my day because prior to taking my barrier, I like they didn't have me working yet because the paperwork hadn't gone through, so I got used to that schedule and practicing then. And so now I feel like I don't have a lot of time to do anything because I'm doing that, like practicum and everything else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least you passed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you gotten past that barrier. It's hard, but you have to. Life is just a series of lessons of, like, I should have done that. I should do something different next time. And to get a perfect situation is kind of difficult. I mean, if you could work 3 hours a week and make a lot of money, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
But
that's how it is.
I don't know I think very few people have that, and they probably worked to get to that point at a certain part of their life. They created something, they did something to make a lot of money, and then now they can enjoy it. So
it's all about working hard in the beginning. So you
yeah,
can
exactly. Well, we've been thinking about. We have J.C. Bach, Dvorak, Silent Woods, Scales, Bach Suite. So we were talking about last week about doing a self-imposed timer for practicing. I think what you're saying has a lot to do with the self-imposed timer.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have much time, then you need to practice. I got used to practicing 9 to 12 o'clock at night and not sleeping. I'm used to that. Naturally, I would like to sleep a lot. But I work really well, like 9 to 1 in the morning, 9 o'clock p.m. to 9 in the morning. Around that time, I could practice really well, even to 2 in the morning. But of course, I have to wake up.
Yeah, true.
So sometimes it's hard to wake up. But not everybody's built that way. I could force myself to do it. But you need to find a way to, okay, I'm going to practice. And so, for example, do you find that when you go home, you just want to go home and not do anything? You just want to eat dinner, relax. So what is the final time that you think you could leave your work schedule, your practice schedule, and all that? What is a time limit for you? Is it 5 p.m., 9 to 5? I'm a 9 to 5 kind of girl. That's all I'm going to do. Or it could be 8 p.m., 7:45.
It's actually probably 9 to 5, because I do things in the afternoons. Like I have choir rehearsal 3 days out the week, and then meetings that happen in the afternoon. So, or in evening, I guess I should say. That we really go until 9 p.m., maybe 10 sometimes. So I'm thinking now I have to practice early in the day, before my morning classes.
So so Monday, what do you have Monday night?
Monday night I have I get off work at 5, and then I'm going to MTO, which is right after. And then sometimes I have a little choir rehearsal, for my church out in Crockett. Sometimes. But then there are days when I don't, so I practice after that. And I do homework.
And then you also should go to a concert if you need.
Concert, yeah, too.
Because you have attendance to do that, right? You have the concert attendance to do.
To do, yeah.
And what about Tuesday?
Tuesday I have classes
In the evening. In the evening.
Oh, in the evening. In the evening, I work. I get off at 5, and then I have choir rehearsal from like 6:30 or 7 to however long it lasts.
But basically, Tuesday is always a choir rehearsal.
Yes.
And Wednesday night?
Wednesday night, usually I have my practicum session, and then I have an evening class from like 4 to 5 or whatever, and then I have to go to my training thing, and then when I come home, I have to do my care note for practicum, which is due like by 3 o'clock on Thursday.
So, but that's like you reserve that time to like I better do this every week at this time. So you could practice Wednesday night, but it just depends if you're far behind on practical.
Yeah.
And then Thursday night?
Thursday night, I sometimes have like, I guess, it's like a choir rehearsal thing. And then sometimes I have concerts that I'm going to go to on Thursday night. And then sometimes I have training on Thursday night. But then I'm doing my session plan that's due Friday by 3.
Yeah, so there's another like thing you have to do. And then Friday night?
Friday night.
Sometimes there's concerts.
Sometimes there's concerts. I get off work at 5. But Friday night is usually when I get the most work done because I don't want to have to do it over the weekend.
Yeah, right. But I mean, you're busy. And so you're saying, I'm just trying to get some information and maybe just help you like sort it out yourself. So in the morning, when's the earliest class? What's the earliest class you have?
The earliest class I have is 8 o'clock on Tuesday and Thursday. And it's 9 on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay.
So Tuesday and Thursday would be difficult to get here earlier. Mm-hmm. But between 9:30 and 12:30, you have a lesson on Thursday. But what about Tuesday?
On Tuesday, I have my supervision meetings that I've kind of like thought about changing to like Monday at like 8:30, because Tuesdays from between 11 and 12:30, so between my last class, piano and orchestra, that's the only break I have. Mm-hmm. That's a long break because I don't have any breaks on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Because I used to in spring I had like an hour or so break, mm-hmm. But the way I schedule my classes, I have back-to-back classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so I don't have that time because I would use that time to practice.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to advise a freshman about like their schedule, what would you tell them?
I would say,
what should they remember when they're scheduling?
They should remember.
There are two important factors here. One is personal time, mm-hmm. and 2,
I would say practicing.
Yeah, practice time. Yeah, because the personal time is like, hey, you got to eat lunch. Mm-hmm. It's a good idea to have like 35, 40 minutes, just like, hey, just relax a little bit, catch up a little bit. And then it's a good idea to have space in there to practice. Yeah. It could be separated, 30 minutes here, an hour there, 2 hours at night. It doesn't have to be all in the same spot. But, as cellists, it's just like, got to go to my locker, got to get the cello, got to go down the stairs, I got to go to the practice room, got to find a practice room. There's too many people practicing now, especially at certain times of the day. In the morning, before 5, there's probably a lot of people practicing. Evening is probably better. Early morning is probably better. But it's difficult when you only have 45 minutes and then you can't find a practice room, and now you're only there for 20. Yeah. So there are other factors, obviously. But last week we decided we should figure out what our minimum amount of practice is. And so keep that in mind when you're scheduling and when you're figuring things out. What is the minimum amount of practice that you need to do to stay healthy? Now, as you get busier with music therapy, the problem is a blessing and a curse. I mean, the good thing is that you're going to get into music therapy, and there's a real, there's going to be the reality of switching over from a student to a professional is going to be quite quick, mm-hmm. like, within a few years, you're like, wow, I'm really like doing this. This is like my life. But then like the sad part is that, cello becomes more and more distant.
Especially now, because it's like we have to practice, or I have to practice guitar a lot more now.
Yeah.
For my sessions and everything.
Yeah, and so if you do have time, you're like, yeah, I better look at this piece that I don't know how to play on guitar. Just learn a few chords. It's not complicated necessarily, but it's time that you need that for you to look at that music. So I don't have any answers for you, except that find that minimum requirement that is your personal requirement. Try to keep it, and then when you're practicing, focus really well on 5 minutes timer kind of thing. If you want 4 minutes, it's fine. 10 minutes, it's fine too. But it just put a timer on and be specific. So if you and I would recommend to just focus on one thing, like one measure. It's like it's like the last thing I do today, I'm gonna fix this measure. 5 minutes, I'm gonna work on it. All right. No, I need 5 more minutes. Not good enough. Okay, 5 more minutes. So pretty soon, you have you practice it for an hour. Like, wow, I practiced this measure for a whole hour. You can do it, and force yourself to do it. Have not only 5-minute goals, and daily goals, and weekly goals, and monthly goals. Like, think about what you want to play in December for your jury, and then work in reverse. Like, the ultimate goal is to have 2 complete works to play for your jury. The next goal is like, okay, well, we have 2.5 months. So where do you want to be a month before? Where do you want to be in 2 weeks? You see?
I do.
Week by week. So let's look at the repertoire. So did you print out those J.C. Bach?
Yes, I did.
You have it?
Yes, sir.
And then what about Dvorak?
That's printed out as well.
Okay. And then you have Bach Suite.
Yes, sir.
So we're looking ahead for a possible recital that includes music like this. Probably the whole Bach Suite, number 1, because that is something that you have practiced some of them. But we can complete that and present that in a recital. The Silent Woods is good, and something like J.C. Bach would be good. This is all very good music and good variety, and plus you could do something like sing and play.
Yeah.
And I'd recommend it if you could sing and play the cello. That'd be awesome. Did I show you my friend Mike Block?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you did.
How he plays and sings?
Yes, that was.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing. I mean, I was always thinking about people that play guitar or piano and sang, because that's hard to do. But cello is crazy.
I feel like cello's harder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's cello because I play the cello, and I can't even talk and play, I feel like I'm having a stroke. Okay, so you're all tuned. What about your, so did you look at that J.C. Bach? You want to play a little bit? Let's go through it together. Okay, so is it a 3-pager?
It is I printed like all of them.
I mean, the first one is 3 pages.
Yes.
So put the 3 pages out. side by side by side. Okay, so look at each page. I want you to identify the hardest spot according to your interpretation. Look very carefully.
Yes. I would say square 6 to, I guess, the end of the situation. Or just until like, it's not really difficult, it's like busy.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe, I mean, it doesn't look like difficult, but just requires like a.
It's interesting. They did a different arrangement of this. It's basically what the viola plays. The cello version has some more difficult sections. Like this one, this section here goes up an octave.
Oh.
So this is all up an octave, and then it gets here. It goes to this area, back in this the same octave here.
Okay.
And this is up an octave. It's interesting. It's all in bass clef.
Okay, well, I like the version.
Well, I mean, I'm interested in having you play it because I think it's an interesting idea. So let's play. But knowing what is difficult for you is a good idea because it helps you to understand what you should practice the most, or at least start to practice first. What happens is we often work this way on the first page, and then we never get off the first page because there's always something wrong with it. So then we never get to the second or third page, and sometimes fourth or fifth or sixth page. And like we have pieces that are really long. It's like, hey, we need to look at the rest of this. So what I'm trying to say, there's a way to look at music to help you understand it. One way is to analyze it formally and form an analysis of it. What's the theme? What kind of themes do we have? Are there transitions? Are there a development area? Is there a recapitulation? How does a composer use these themes, and what keys are we in? What kind of phrases did he use? Are really short ones, long ones? Are they connected? Are they do they have solid endings? Are they ambiguous? Like try to answer these questions. This will start to develop some roots, and these roots are for us to memorize our music and to understand, navigate where we're going. It's a very good idea. Okay, so now do that on your own time, but now let's play from the beginning, and let's talk about some of what's going on here. So that first chord, you could play with an extension, or you could play 1, 3, but you have to play like this, and then you shift back for half position. Does it have open C in it? And then switch to 2. Extension in the lower 4 positions. How can you find an extension?
Define.
Yeah. Is a position.
Yes.
That covers what? How many steps?
Let's say 2.
2 whole steps. So in this case, we have E flat to F and an F to G. And the extension fingering is 1, 2, 4 with a space between 1 and 2. And we've been discovering that most of the time you can't go wrong if you have backwards extensions. Put your hand in first, fourth position, for example, and then just extend your first finger back. First position, and extend your first finger back. That's an extension. It's a lot easier to think of it this way. Do we do forward extensions? Yes, but start with a backwards extension as just a habit, and because I think your hand will appreciate that. Okay, next. Well, what's next? Yeah. So the definition is what? When you see 2 whole steps in a row in the lower 4 positions, neck positions, it's an extension. So for example, F, G, A natural, A flat, B flat, C natural, D, E, F sharp, especially here. Right? So if you see 2 in a row, you could, of course, finger it this way. But we have. You do it that way too. You get void extensions. Now, when do we shift? So this is another subject. When do we shift? Is there a rule for shifting? Because you shifted like this. So it felt comfortable. And you know, if you played all the notes and you played a concert, you played them all perfectly and beautifully, no one's going to care if you did it all with 1 finger or 2 fingers or whatever. But shifting, what happens when you shift is that a lot of times when you shift in the wrong place, you accent notes that are wrong. Remember in piano class, the piano teacher may have said something like, "Be careful when you cross over with your thumb, because you go da 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 thumb thumb." What happens? You accent the thumb because your thumb is strong. So you have as a pianist, they work making, of course, the smooth transitions and shifts just like we do. So when we shift, we often cause an accent. So that's why it's a good idea to do the following. You want to, like you see, you have 4 notes. You want to shift on the first or third note, because these are stronger notes in general in classical music. You want to shift on a half step. You also want to shift in a pattern. So shifting on strong beats or strong rhythm accents, or strong beats is better said. So if you have 4 beats, the first beat and third beat are stronger, and the second and fourth. If you have 3 beats, the first beat is stronger, and then the second is weaker, and the third beat's kind of in between. Right? Sometimes you have 3 equal beats. I mean, maybe the composer wants 3 accents. Shifting on a half step is good because it's closer and it's easier to hide the shift. Shifting in a pattern is also good because you keep the pattern. So 1 2 3 1 2, or 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, something like that, or 1 2 4 1 2 4 1 2 4 1 2 4, whatever the pattern is. You see, and so that's the pattern. This is all the same pattern, and so in a way that builds up a consistency and it's easier. So shift on a strong beat, shift on a half step, shift in a pattern. Now there's some anomalies, there's always exceptions. Sometimes you shift a certain way because it's just prettier. Yeah. It just sounds pretty. Now, we have 4 notes. Shift. And this has 2 things. We have half step. It's nice. Now you shift it on a weak beat. Then you shift it on a strong beat. See? Now, close your eyes, and you just tell me if you can tell what fingering I'm using. I'm going to use, this is A, and I'll play A, version A. Now here's version B.
Version A sounded smoother.
Version B?
It sounded kind of like not interrupted, but something was accented more.
Can you tell what fingering I used?
I would say in B you used something similar to the fingering that I did, and then version A you did the other, like the extension.
See, I have to do a kind of trick. Do you see what I did at the beginning? I just played them all the same dynamic. And then I dropped the dynamic and went up, dropped it at the shift to hide the shift, and then crescendo. So, but the other one's easier. So shift in a pattern, shift on a strong, shift on a half step. You could also shift in a bow change or string crossing. Sometimes it happens that it works out that way. So for example, bow change. Or string crossing. Whatever. I'm just making it up. But sometimes these are other ideas. I mean, sometimes it happens that the composer wants a certain bowing, and maybe you just do that bowing. It's easier.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try again. I gave you a big speech, but because I want you to play extensions. Just be more specific. The top note is usually the melody note. The top note is usually, in this case, on the A string. So we want to get to the top note around the balance point. You don't want to spend a lot of your bow and then you're like here, right, way to at the tip. Because usually you want to sustain the top note. Now there are sometimes, like especially in a box suite, that you could play the top note toward the tip, but that's because, say, you're doing something that's very delicate, like you just let it flow. But like in Haydn concerto, you want to be right in this area, not over here. Good. Right. So in this concerto, it's a similar situation, meaning you play around the balance point. Okay, next we can play in a triple stop, 2 plus 2, like 2 plus 2, 3 together, or kind of a roll like a la Baroque style, right, arpeggiated. In a 4 chord or quadruple stop, you can do 2 plus 2 plus 2 with a continuous swipe. Right, so it sounds like this together. We're going to do 2 plus 2 like that, or you could do a roll. I like to do 1 plus 3, especially when you have an open C. Why is that? Well, listen when I play open C and G together. Tell me which string wins.
C.
Well, there the G wins.
Yeah, I would say the G, yeah.
Do it on your cello. Play open C and G and just go. Well, you're doing a good job. The C is coming out stronger. Usually, though, if you do pizzicato, see, the G wins.
Yeah, the G.
So generally, when we have a C chord, C minor, something with a C on the bottom, the C needs to be stronger than the G. So this is why I like to play 1 plus 3 instead of the G.
Yeah.
So just a little info there.
Okay.
So now here. And the chord, the bottom of the chord is always before the beat. So the beat is always the top note. Okay. And a lecture. Let's play from here. Ready? 4, set, and go. Ready, and. So here, see? Now you're going to switch finger.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because they have that E flat.
Right? So because it's easier to play 1, 3, 4 because you get more bang for your buck, right? It's more notes in the position. Also, you have an ability to play the chord and then have a retake. In that retake, you can switch your hand. Right. So it's another reason to shift is when you have a retake. So play the chord. Go. So what do you think you should do here? So let's go with each of these ideas. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's shift in a pattern. So what's the pattern here? 1, 3, 4. Can you repeat that pattern? No. Well, you can repeat a pattern if it's just 3 notes at a time. So what you just did there is, which I guess do you like that? Try it. 4, 4. Ready? 1, 3, 4, and 4, 2, 1. Let's play more tempo. Ba-da-dee-dee-dee-dee. Ready? Go.
No, see, I don't like that one.
But it's also a half step shift.
Yeah.
Try the pattern with a half step shift. So 1, 3, 4, 4, 2, 1. Ready and go. Okay, so maybe something you can get used to. Now, what's the other pattern? 1, 3, 4, 3, 1, 4, 3. So that keeps the same fingering. You just move up a whole step. Try that. You forgot C. Again, go. So what's the problem with that?
Well, there's a string crossing.
And when is that string crossing? Which note of the 4?
That is the B flat.
Which number? Which, like, there's 4 eighth notes. Which one?
Yeah.
Which one of the 4? Of the 4/8 notes?
Oh, the last of the four.
The fourth one.
Yeah.
And it's the weakest beat. So listen carefully. It sounds like I'm accenting. So I'd have to force myself to stretch. But whatever I do, I mean, it's a hard fingering, and if it's my only choice, I guess I'll work with it.
Yeah.
But in this case, I have other choices. So going back to the 4/4 one actually seems like a pretty good idea. Now, where else can I shift? You can shift on the second finger, C. But that's kind of awkward. It's kind of like doing a double extension here and here. Right. Now you can shift on the 1. But that does what? I'm shifting on and off on a weak beat.
Yeah.
Isn't that like amazing? You can keep thinking
So
about
many.
how many shifts, when to shift. So, what do you think about that first one you didn't like?
It's the best choice.
It seems like the best
It
choice,
does.
doesn't it? I mean, at first it felt awkward to play it, but then
Compared
now,
to every
compared to
other
the other ones, they're actually much more awkward to
Yeah.
play the other ones because of string crossings, because of shifting on weak beats, because of extra extensions that don't fit your hand, right? So let's try it. Let's see how you can. Let's play it a few times. Here's a little tip for the like a 4/4 fingering. Can you feel like, how on guitar sometimes you hear like how people shift, you hear like a squeak, like can you listen? Yeah.
Hammer on.
Try that. No. Now, add that technique in da 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 with that 4/4. No, you're too tight in your thumb. That's what's holding you back. That's why you're stopping. Again, 1, 2, go. Can you play the A too? A. Yeah. Ready and go. Again and go. What if you play more bow all the way to the tip? Ready and go. Can you not rush? Da da dee 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 da. Now let's play to the G. 1, 2, go. It's all in one bow?
Yeah.
Is it all in one bow?
Yes.
Okay, and go. Now, finger, then bow. You did this. Together. Of course, the fourth finger didn't sound good. Can you try it again? Ready, and go. So, when you play an open A, your fourth finger needs to be down. Watch. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. See how smooth that was?
Yeah.
And now the string crossing has made sense. All right. This time, go on. Is that really the bowing?
Yeah.
Can you turn it around for me? Yeah, so you need to play, this is fine. This could be 2 ups, or this could be slurred. Down, up. Like this could be slurred.
Okay.
This could be 2 ups. This could be separate with 2 ups. The first 2 beats could be slurred and then all separate. And then you could keep that, and this will be this would be slurred, and this is all an up bow.
Okay.
And then again, you have the same problem here. Either this is slurred or this are 2 ups.
Okay.
So, or you could just do this. it's like you have to do it, or you can do it. I'm trying to guess where this is. Okay, I see. Okay, now, what do you think of the separating the bowing? This is an
I like
interesting
that.
addition. Uh, let's try these ones. Except this is going to be on that D string. 1, 3, 4. Oops. Ready? 1, 3.
Ah.
1, 3. Hey.
Slur.
Yeah, slur that. Sorry, I forgot to put that slur. Ba-dee-da. Bow and go.
Ah.
4. Oh, open. Yeah. Down, go.
Huh?
Up, bow. Up. No, no. Do you get it? You did it right the first time. I didn't write that in?
No.
Okay. Anything? Just want to see what it. Yeah, it's an up bow.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, you don't have to write it in.
Okay.
See.
It is. That's a down.
You don't have to write everything. Okay, up bow on the B flat. Yes. E natural.
Oh, okay.
You don't see it? Is that written in?
It's flat.
It's an E natural.
Okay.
Okay, I see.
I thought that was.
It had a flat on there?
Yeah. That was.
Yeah, it's a natural. Yeah. And slur. Yeah, that one. Last one. One. Isn't it E flat? Shift to whole step. Whole step. 4. How do I know it's a 4? Besides that I played it before. I mean, I never played it, but I studied it with my students. F, if it's a 1. To A flat, how far is it?
A flat is a minor third. Mm-hmm.
And then I look ahead, oh, the A, G flat's right below it. So you want to play within a position.
Yeah.
Next. 2. So start here 2. Ready, up, bow, go. Just a little shake. Isn't there an F natural? Yeah, again, so here. That's a 2. That's a,
Yes.
go to a 2. Is there a 2 there? Why don't you write it? Now, when you go from a finger like 2 and then you're shifting to another 2, it's actually kind of hard to do. And in this case, it's hard because you're shifting back and on a 2. It's much easier to say to go to 3 or 4. It's easier to do that because your finger is free. It's hard to actually. You do 1, 1, but you have to shift there. So there's 2 shifts in a row. Also, this the same would go like going from 1 to 1, like kind of like that. The reason why is that there's going to be inevitably some noise with the bow, some shifting noise, some scratchy noise, slide noise, whatever. So, in this case, you'd have to lift the bow so you don't hear that. Watch my bow. So put a space in there. But that's how I keep it clean.
Yeah.
Can you try it? 2, 2, 1, 4, 4, 2, 1, 2, 1, and go. Any string? Good. You caught yourself with that, huh? Okay, well, why don't we stop for today? I need to eat some lunch before the rehearsal.
No, we're doing that.
We're doing a chanson first, and I don't want to be like just rushing from lunch and feeling like,
Week.